Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Tim.
Howdy do.
This is a horror movie podcast. We talk about horror films every week. Although this is our news edition of the show, which we try to do most weeks. Sometimes there's maybe not enough news to actually do it, but this week we do have a few interesting things, some trailers to look at, and we'll dive into it. So,
have you ever watched The Newsroom?
I watched the first season of The Newsroom. Yeah,
It's and people don't realize it, but that's kind of like what this show is like behind the scenes. It's just like we're constantly just walking around, but like like another movie got delayed. You're like, damn it.
lot quick pans from between us, from me to you, as we're correlating the news. Don't believe a word of it. I do all the news correlating. Tim has a nice light in on a Sunday morning.
It's true.
whilst I do lots of work, which admittedly I could do the night before and choose not to. So I'm not going to pat myself on the back too much for it, but still. So yes, news. Let's get into the horror movie news of the week. So first up, Babysitter from Netflix. We really liked that movie quite a bit. It was a genuine surprise in 2017. 2017. So there's a sequel coming, and they've got a release date. It is coming September 10th this year.
Oh,
cool. It's got a title as well. Okay, it's not just The Babysitter 2. It's called The Babysitter Killer Queen.
Okay. Should be fun.
I'm interested. Yeah. Some of the characters from the first one are back. I'm not exactly sure how, given that most of the characters I'm pretty sure met their demise, but maybe it's a prequel. I don't know. No, actually, the first thing in the description is 2 years after.
Okay. All right.
So obviously the character of the babysitter was B, which is why they're going with the Killer Queen, kind of the pun title.
Did you say September or December it's coming out?
September.
Oh, so soon then.
Soon, yeah. I imagine. Okay. I mean, it's one that we probably could rush to do the weekend it hits. I feel like it's probably going to be an early October-thon movie, though. We've got a few slots there to fill, and this seems like it. And because the first one was an October-thon movie back in 2017.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So nice bit of legacy there. So, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how to develop this. The kid obviously has went through puberty and looks much older than he did in the first one.
Ew. How do you know that?
Because everyone goes through puberty at that age.
Okay.
And there's
Take your word for it.
some photos in the article of them, and he looks taller and more, I don't know, dare I say, Leon S. Kennedy-esque.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I don't know what you want from me, Tim. The first one was a really pleasant surprise, so I'm looking forward to checking this out. Hopefully it's, even if it's not as good, as long as it's like a decent sequel, I'll be fairly happy.
Sure, I think the first one was fun, and as long as this one's fun, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that's what you come here for, the stunning insight of the Tim. All right, next up. So, you know how sometimes we complain that we've got too many new horror films to keep up with, and we don't get a chance to do as many classic films as we'd like, and stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, despite the fact that there's a pandemic this year and we should have less movies, Blumhouse decided to just say, hey, we're going to put out 4 original movies on Amazon in October. 4!
I heard about that. I saw like some image or something going around, which I couldn't have been bothered to look further into it. But that sounds crazy. I don't know. Like, I'm assuming these are things that were like, maybe they'd been holding on to for a while and they're just like, screw it, let's release them. Or
I don't know. It kind of almost seems like, did Blumhouse do that thing on Hulu? Are they the ones who did Into the Dark?
They did. Although I think they haven't done one for like the last month or two, I believe, because I don't think they had one for July.
Well, probably because when the pandemic happened, they had to stop making them. So I imagine that's why.
I mean, I got that. I was surprised. I never remembered hearing like any I mean, admittedly, I'm not looking for that news, I suppose, but I feel like I don't know, they would have had some type of announcement or something, but maybe I
Yeah,
missed it.
it's so they're calling this the Welcome to Blumhouse program, and they've got eight.
Okay.
They've got 8 movies planned, 4 of which are dropping in October. The other 4 will be at a later date,
Okay.
and but they are movies. But at the same time, I'm
Mhm.
thinking like, do we look at this like Into the Dark, where it's not a high priority because they're kind of like a series of TV movies essentially. I
Mhm.
mean, I mean,
Mhm.
is that how you describe Into the Dark? Kind of.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 4 brand new Blumhouse produced movies coming for Amazon to Amazon Prime in October.
Mm.
Uh, there's
I
8
mean, I
total.
guess you can.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I guess we can kind of take it like base by base case. Basis. Like I'm sure they'll probably have trailers or something, and
oh
I
sure,
don't know,
yeah.
maybe if some look good, check it out. If not, you know, um, I don't know, just check it. I guess.
Yeah, so the films that are coming,
Mhm.
an extra set of 4 films as double feature starting on October 6th, which will be The Lie, directed by Veena Sud, who worked on The Killing in 7 Seconds. That'll come with Black
Mhm.
Box, which is directed by up and coming director writer Emmanuel Oze Kafur Jr., who worked on Born with it. And then launching October 13th, the double feature of Evil Eye from Ilan Desani and Rajiv Desani, so co-directors there, who worked on a movie called Jinn and A Day's Work. I think I've heard of Jinn, but maybe I'm just thinking of an old movie with the same name. To be honest, that's entirely possible. That's like
Yeah,
it's just like
I
a common enough title, I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah, I want to say that might have been on Netflix for a while or something.
Mm.
I do like my Jin movies, so I want to say I might have even seen that, but I don't remember a thing about it. I'm assuming it probably wasn't that great.
Yeah, and then the second one on that date is Nocturne, which is written and directed by Zhu Quirk.
Hmm.
What a name. Who worked on Zugzwang and Ghosting. That was Zugzwang. Maybe Zugzwang is the correct pronunciation, but
Okay. All
I'm
right.
curious. I'm curious about this Zhu Quirk and
Mhm.
his movies. So The Lie. So there's a brief description for each of them. I'll just quickly kind of
Mhm.
give you these. So in The Lie, when a teenage daughter confesses to impulsively killing her best friend, 2 desperate parents attempt to
Oh,
cover up
jeez.
what was that?
I said, "Oh, geez."
Ah.
That's-
Attempt to cover up the horrific crime, leading them into a complicated web of lies and deception. It stars Muriel Enos from The Killing. Oh yeah, I know who that is. Peter Skarsgård
Anus.
from An Education. Yes, and Joey King. Yeah, I actually know all these actors. Joey King, of course, is the young scream queen from your Annabelle prequel and your Ouija prequel, and most recently she was in Becky, I think. Is that Joey
Huh?
King?
I thought that wasn't that like Lulu something.
Oh, that is Lily. Well, I'm mixing them up. No, Joey King was in The Conjuring and then was in Wish Upon. That's Joey King.
Oh, okay.
She's the one
Alright.
who's like, hey, well, not her, but she's the one who is uh, almost seduced with the multiverse.
Oh, yes, yes.
Are you into the multiverse? Don't you think multiverses are cool? Yeah. Man, teenagers are a lot easier to chat up apparently than my day. If you just like, hey, do you into multiverses? Into the multiverse? Anyway, so with that is Black Box. This is the description. After losing his wife and his memory in a car accident, a single father undergoes an agonizing experimental treatment that causes him to question who he really is. Joe is I'm getting from these bizarrely is that they feel like they're all short stories in an anthology from the sounds of them, like the descriptions.
Sure.
I can
Yeah,
see
I
these
can
all
see that.
being like 20-minute things. They're not, but it feels like they could be.
Yeah.
Evil Eye on October 13th. A seemingly perfect romance turns into a nightmare when a mother becomes convinced her daughter's new boyfriend has a dark connection to her own past. And then Nocturne, same night as that. Inside the halls of an elite arts academy, a timid music student begins to outshine her more accomplished and outgoing twin sister when she discovers a mysterious notebook belonging to a recently deceased classmate. That stars Sydney Sweeney, who was in Sharp Objects and Handmaid's Tale. So I know her from those things. Did the other two have one that I recognise? Not really, no. So yeah, this is kind of a series of TV movies coming to Amazon, 4 of which are coming in October, which I guess makes sense. It's Blumhouse, it's October. I wouldn't expect us to review these just because this is adding a whole slate of movies that I'm not convinced will be no. I mean, maybe if some of them get a bit of acclaim and say, "Hey, this one's really good," like you should look
Yeah.
at it. Maybe we'll look at the odd, we'll cherry pick the odd one, but uh, this is like a whole extra slate of releases to deal with. So
Yeah, I don't really recognize any of the names that you mentioned. Doesn't necessarily mean they're bad or anything, but can't really get too excited about them if I'm not really familiar with them. And then as far as the premises go, I mean, they don't sound bad, but it's also nothing about them that necessarily, screams like, "Oh my god, that's super unique or cool," or "I never heard of that before." Like, "Oh, this is something I definitely want to check out." Like, sounds like it could be fine, but I guess we'll see. I wouldn't say I'm like, you know, against this or anything. Like, I probably will check it out at least out of curiosity, but it's not hasn't really necessarily you know got me too excited at this point.
well, you can tell me if any of them are worth covering then, if you're going to brave the waters. I mean, one of the things it does say for a couple of those names is that they're up and coming. So this could be the sort of thing where some of the future big horror directors might,
Sure.
have like a feature in here, and then we'll go, hey, they came from this thing. They had their
That's
first
true,
movie,
yeah.
or one of the early films was in that batch, and then they went on to do these big notable things. So I mean,
Yeah.
it could be exciting in that sense, but I imagine that they're not all going to be winners, and hopefully.
Sure.
Because Blumhouse themselves are really up and down. It's not like Blumhouse has a level of quality that we expect. They have some absolute trash. They have some really good stuff too.
I think I would be more excited if because you mentioned that it kind of sounds like Into the Dark, which I agree. That's the first thing that it kind of reminds me of. So, and that was so uneven. Like most of those are, I've actually seen all of them up to this point, and I would say, yeah, the majority, unfortunately, are like really bad to painful. Like there is a couple of good ones. Like there are ones that I enjoyed or that were just okay. Like so, I don't want to diss everything, but overall, it's kind of such a bad experience that it doesn't make me too excited for this. But I mean, again, I'll be curious to check it out.
Yeah. So there you go. That is Blumhouse. Oh, sorry. Welcome to the Blumhouse. I was going to say it was Blumhouse Presents because this is an obvious title, but it's Welcome to the Blumhouse, and the poster for this is like an actual sort of dollhouse, with each floor being a different one of these movies. So, yeah. This is coming in October. So for your October-thon viewing, maybe you'll be excited with that. Next up, though, we have another update on the Fear Street trilogy, the R.L. Stine Fear Street books. Yes. Netflix has acquired the movie trilogy adaptation of the books. But I think we talked about this a long time ago, or if not us, I think way back when me and Connor still did regular movie news, I think we talked about these been in the works. Now they've actually landed at Netflix. So it's been a while since I've talked about it. Honeymoon director Lee Janik was directing the Fox Disney sort of backed version of this. But then things maybe changed a little. I assume the Disney to Fox or Fox to Disney sale maybe had something to do with this, kind of ended up going elsewhere. But yeah, so the plan is for the 3 directed films, Fear Street movies, to premiere on Netflix 1 month apart in summer 2021. So this is going to be something where we get each film over the course of the 3 summer months, which is kind of interesting. So previously announced, the cast includes Gillian Jacobs from Community, Sadie Sink from Stranger Things. She's I've forgotten all the names. Max, the redhead. Max. Yeah, they were saying. Also, Kiana Madeira, Olivia Welch, Benjamin Flores Jr., Ashley Zuckerman, Reed McCabe Style, Fred Hetchinger, and Julia Rawald, Daryl Britt Gibson, and Jeremy Ford. So after the first 2, I didn't recognize any of those names, but hey, I like those first 2 actors, so that's cool.
Sure.
So here's the description. They've given me descriptions for all 3 of them, bizarrely. So in Fear Street 1, in 1994, the aftermath of a brutal tragedy in Shadyside, Ohio. Shadyside, come on, really? Not on the nose, isn't it? A group of teens discover a series of horrifying events that have plagued their town over many years. Might not be random, and they may, in fact, be the next victims. And then the second one's set in 1978, and then the third one's in 1666. So it actually goes back in time.
Interesting.
Each one's sort of set further past in the history. Second one's at Camp Nightwing, Nightwing. Dick Grayson, there you go on the phone. He's been copyright infringed. Yeah. And 1666 is a colonial town, so
Sure.
yeah. So interesting stuff. I expect pulpy. Because obviously this is from the same author as Goosebumps, so I think that maybe gives you a sense of maybe the type of horror it's going to be.
I mean, I would I feel like the fact that it's Netflix and stuff, like I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of want to make it like Stranger Things-esque. Like I could kind of imagine kids riding around on bikes, trying to kind of solve some type of horror thing that only they can really do. Yeah, I love Goosebumps growing up. I mean, I was a huge bump head. As a kid, I don't know if I've read all of them. I certainly had a gigantic shelf full at some point, but I don't think I ever like graduated onto like R.L. Stine's other stuff. I could be wrong, but I thought like maybe I'm thinking of something else, but I thought Fear Street was like slightly like for a slightly older audience, like
maybe
not like not like someone in their 30s would be reading it, but like if Goosebumps are for like 9 or 10-year-olds, and like I thought Fear Street was for like 14, 15-year-olds or something like that. So I don't think I ever checked it out, and then I might be thinking of another series, because I do think there was like one other R.L. Stine book that I read before, and it was like way more adult than Goosebumps, and I was like, whoa, wait, I probably shouldn't be reading this. Like but so I really have no connection to Fear Street. I do like I still have fondness for R.L. Stine though, and like you said, I like the those two actors that I recognize, so I will be interested to see more about this.
I think this is something that's a lot more appealing for us to cover, because it's like 3 months, one movie a month, and if it's good, obviously if we hate the first one, then maybe we won't be back for 2 and 3, but I think it's an intriguing little summer event for Netflix. It's the idea of releasing a movie trilogy over 3 months in the summer is a really intriguing prospect, which makes it kind of feel like a mini series almost rather than a trilogy. But it's got some source material to work from, so hopefully it nails a tone and atmosphere that works for it, and we can get into it. So I'm definitely curious about this. I don't know if I'm excited, but I'm curious.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. So next up, speaking of books you like, Stephen King adaptation. We're here. So from a Buick 8, are you familiar with this one?
I own it, but I have not read it yet.
Yes. So at various
sounded so judgy.
Well, I was reading the next part of this and sort of so bit of good news is that, well, the bad news is that at one point George A. Romero and Toby Hooper were both supposed to make a version of this. I know. And then more recently, William Brent Bell, who's the director of The Boy and Bram's The Boy 2, was supposed to be attached to it. Luckily, that never happened either. So
bummer.
Yeah, Thomas Jane.
Three great horror directors all attached at one point.
I'm not dignifying that with a response. How dare you? Thomas Jane's going to be in the movie though, and he's kind of spearheading it as a producer as well. So yes, yes. So Stateland. So the news here is that Stateland director Jim Mickle is going to direct the film. I never actually saw Stateland, but
yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Here's the description of the story though from the book. From a Buick 8 centers around the rural town of Statler, Pennsylvania, where the state police have kept a mysterious 1954 Buick Roadmaster in the shed behind the barracks for over 20 years. When the town is plagued by strange and supernatural events, it turns out the Buick isn't what it seems to be.
Cool. I could be wrong. I don't know if I'm confusing it with another story, but I want to say that like in the trunk of the car is it like a portal to something, like monsters come out? I might be confusing it with something else, but
I'm
that's
okay.
what like the only recollection I have.
I'm okay with that as a premise, honestly.
Yeah.
To have
Oh
the
yeah.
complaints about that.
Yeah, like and so yeah, I don't know this Stateland guy, but Thomas Jane's involvement does have me pretty excited. I've heard him on some other Stephen King podcasts, and he's a big King fan, and he's been in some great adaptations. I think The Mist and 1922 are two really good King works that Jane's been a part of. So yeah, I mean I'm definitely for this. I'm pretty excited. I will have to go ahead and read it probably pretty soon to get ready for the movie.
I never saw 1922, but I have to confess, for a second there, I was mixing it up in my head with In the Long Grass, and I was saying, "What are you talking about? In the Long Grass is terrible." I was like, "Oh no, he didn't say that. He said 1922." No, mate.
I think 1922 is worth checking out. I don't know if I necessarily call it horror. It definitely has horror moments in it, but I mean it is probably more, I guess, crime/drama kind of thing.
Sure, sure. Hey, I mean the best Stephen King movies are not horror.
Yeah, no, arguably that's true. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of horror ones I like, but I mean, it's hard to deny, like, stuff like Shawshank, Stand By Me, Green Mile, like, those are all phenomenal.
Yeah. But obviously you mentioned The Mist. The Mist is, like,
that's up there.
Thomas Jane's in there. It's just probably the best horror Stephen King movie, and maybe that'll get some flack from people, but it is. It just is.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd probably be like between that and The Shining, I guess, and then.
Oh, you know what? I always kind of forget about The Shining because he hates it so much. I went on a tirade on the. I just recorded an Ace episode last night, and I went on a tirade because we kept talking about books and movies and stuff. I don't know if you'd agree with this. That you probably won't actually. You probably hate me for saying this, but I said that Stanley Kubrick's a much better movie director than Stephen King as a writer, so therefore King can shut his damn mouth when it comes to The Shining movie.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't agree with that. I mean, I think they're both masters in their respected field, but I think sometimes people get like too defensive, and not just about like this instance, but I think like in other like examples where an adaptation sometimes maybe not is like I don't always want to say better, but I think there are times when like the source material can get kind of like or it can kind of like elevate the source material or something, and then I think sometimes people are too like quick to be like, oh no, like the original author is wrong, but like no, I mean I totally get why, like if you're very precious about something you create and like someone changes it, like I can get why you'd be defensive about it. I feel like people like are quick to be like, that person should shut his mouth, that guy like made a better version of it. It's like, all right, well, sometimes like these works are very like meaningful, and like I think like, especially in King's case, like that's like a very like important like personal book for him, because he's struggled with like addiction issues and stuff like throughout his life. So like if someone kind of changes what you see as like a pivotal like part of it in the book, which also like reflects your life, like yeah, of course you would be kind of upset about that. Like, so I don't know, it's some like whatever. I think it's just kind of weird sometimes when people are like, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about, even though he wrote the source material, screw him.
Way to take me cracking a joke to upset you into a really serious, long thought out point, which makes me look like a dick. So thank you for that.
The joke, I mean, obviously, the joke's funny. I agree with the joke, but I just wanted to say my piece.
Oh dear. Okay. So we are at some trailers now. I looked through so many trailers. Do you know what? There's so many little small crap horror trailers every week that you have to wade through when you're doing this. But we have a movie called The Lockdown Hauntings.
Start making like fake ones and just throw them in there to throw you off.
So we have this movie called The Lockdown Hauntings, and would you believe it? After Host, I mean, obviously this wasn't made since Host because Host just came out a couple weeks ago. But I think it's funny that there was a lot of potentially competing movies trying to like be the first lockdown created movie to get out there. So we actually have one that's got it in the title. The Lockdown Hauntings was shot during lockdown. It actually has Tony Todd and what looks like a cameo on a laptop call at some point.
They probably actually got him through Cameo.
Very good. But this is actually shot like a traditional movie. This is not a sort of found footage camera screen film. Like, it focuses on the main character at the very least. So there's at least someone filming her, maybe a couple of people in a crew, which, you know.
I mean, I don't understand that, because at the beginning of the trailer they said there was like no crew, but then you watch it and it's like there had to be someone there.
Yeah, at the very least, there's someone holding a damn camera. Like,
Yeah.
at the very least. I mean, yeah, maybe it's literally the director and like one other person are doing every job, so they're trying to claim that's not a crew, but it's still technically a crew.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a very small crew, but it's a crew. So I don't know necessarily what the situation is here. I wonder if like maybe the lead actress and the director / cameraman / whatever, like I wonder if they live together anyway, so that's why this is
maybe,
you know, this is like well we're quarantined together anyway, so whatever, we could do this anyway. That's wild speculation. I have nothing to base that on. So here's the description for this here film. With the streets now empty, it isn't just nature that is taking advantage of this unprecedented global disaster. Spirits are freer than ever before, and the spirit of a notorious serial killer, aka... Wait, hold on. You can't say aka after a notorious serial killer. That's not what they're known as. That's not a name. That's weird. I'm docking points for that. Aka the locksmith, or just known as the... It's not also known as, it's just known as the locksmith. Anyway... is back from the dead, and he has even more potential victims. Can self-isolating detective George Parker, played by Angela Dixon, with the guidance of paranormal expert John Myers, Tony Todd, over Skype or whatever, prevent more young women from becoming victims of the lockdown hauntings? So there's a lot of stuff in this with her like reacting to chairs moving and stuff like that, and I was getting Invisible Man vibes more than anything, to be honest. It felt like it was there's an invisible person in the house doing stuff.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the trailer?
I think this looks awful. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I was not into it. Like,
hey, don't apologize to me. Apologize to the brave filmmakers risking their lives to bring you entertainment in this time of need.
Yeah, I do feel like this is probably just like a normal, like, however many people they would have to make this movie, and then it feels like they're just trying to emphasize, like, oh no, like we're very safe, like there's no crew here, like we're like, yeah right, it's probably probably idiots, just we're taking advantage of this. I mean, I don't get it, like what, like people aren't going outside as much, so like spirits can take over, like, is that what they're trying to say?
Yeah, like... it's kind of a weird thing, because presumably this would happen anyway. Like I don't know what the context for why the lockdown's letting this happen. I mean, maybe it's just a simple case of, well, you can't get any help because everyone's self-isolating. Okay, sure, but it's not like in most haunting movies there's anyone who can really help you anyway, except maybe the one, exorcist does or whatever. Like, most people are just kind of like, we don't know what to do, we can't shoot this.
Yeah, it's so funny because, like, you know, obviously the other big example of a movie made during quarantine is Host, which, like, you know, that just feels like it, you know, it saw a situation and made something that was, like, interesting and thoughtful and compelling around that, versus this, which like just feels like dumb and exploitative and just like trying to like capitalize on the moment, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it just feels like cheesy and lame, and just trying to, you know, just like make like a quick buck and or something, instead of actually being thoughtful. And I mean, just nothing about it I thought really looked good.
Yeah, no, it looks bad. Honestly,
and also the trailer felt so long too. It was like,
oh yeah,
this is just a regular trailer. Like, why am I bored? Like, you shouldn't be bored in like a short trailer.
Yeah, honestly, this made the cut because it was notable that it was another lockdown movie, and I wanted to talk about that happening again more than I did the movie itself. But yeah, the movie looks kind of shit. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. Next up, we get a Hulu original movie called Bad Hair from Justin Simon or Simeon, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, who worked on Dear White People, and this is a movie about hair, but well, here's the description. The horror satire is set in 1989. Good year that. That's the best year of the history of the planet, because it's the year that the excellence of myself was brought into this world, and nothing was ever the same again. But an ambitious young woman gets a weave in order to succeed in the image-obsessed world of music television. However, her flourishing career may come at great cost when she realizes that her new hair may have a mind of its own. This trailer kind of grossed me out. There's a lot of close-ups of the scalp and hair moving and sort of jabbing the scalp, and it was kind of. That said, though, I do think this bizarrely looks quite good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It seems very effective, like a body horror kind of movie, and yeah, I honestly I couldn't necessarily tell you what's going on in it. I don't know, does the hair possess people? Does the hair have a mind of its own? Is it trying to kill the person, or is it trying to kill other people? I'm not exactly sure, but what I can definitely tell you from the trailer is, yeah, like you said, it looks like it has some really squeamish, good body horror moments. Looks like it's got a lot of really good, well-known actors that, and it had kind of a nice tense vibe to it. So I'm pretty excited about this movie.
Yeah, who could forget that Kelly Rowland from Freddy vs. Jason's finally getting another chance at the horror genre.
Yeah.
She's in there.
Fantastic.
You got James Van Der Beek, that's Dawson Creek himself. Not that he was called Dawson Creek in the show.
Yeah.
He had a creek by him, which they referred to as Dawson's Creek. Vanessa Williams is in there too, Jay Farrow, whole thing. So Elena Waite's in there. So it's an interesting looking film, and because it's a satire, I suspect there will be some social commentary, especially given from the person who did Dear White People, of all things. It makes a lot of sense. And that show was very high quality, so I expect that side of it to be good. It's now the horror side of it. It looks promising from the teaser trailer. Now, it is only a minute long, which is why I don't think we have a good concrete idea of exactly how it works. Yeah. But it gave me enough of a feeling and a tone that I'm kind of into it, and I'm,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. This is coming out on October 23rd, so this could be a late October entry. But we'll see. It could be a catch-up thing at the end of the year, though, instead. But that is Bad Hair. Next up, trailer for Clownface, which is a slasher killer, basically, who has a clown mask made out of human flesh. Which, when I read that, I thought, wait, so he's Leatherface then? That's but no, he's kind of arranged it in a way that it's got the clown diamond over his eye, and it's whatever. And this is actually coming out very soon. This is coming out on August 18th.
Oh, okay, very soon
on VOD. Yeah, this is less than a week from recording, and when this goes out. So it's this coming week. So, I mean, what did you think of this teaser?
Honestly, it didn't really do much for me. I think it was super short, and so I didn't really get much of a sense of what the movie was about. And I mean, maybe it's a slasher movie, so maybe I shouldn't need to know too much. But I don't know, it seemed like a little try hard, oh yeah, this serial killer wearing the face of a clown, and oh, how twisted and messed up is that? You know what I mean? I don't know, I like something simple, just a killer is just wearing a hockey mask, or just a Halloween mask or something. I don't know, I feel like sometimes people just try a little too hard and be like, oh man, isn't he sick and gross, and he looks all dirty and sweaty and stuff. But
yeah,
I mean, that being said, though, it still could be good. I'm not against it. I am actually curious and wouldn't mind checking it out. But
yeah, I'm curious as well. Yeah. I the trailer didn't do a whole lot for me necessarily, but it's sort of thing where there's also not there's not a lot of red flags either. Outside of, because I agree that it's a bit try hard, and it's the sort of thing where I might just sort of roll my eyes when I watch it. But I might have said the same thing about Art the Clown, and Terrifier ended up in a great little movie. So
well, I think that kind of hurts this though, because we did have such a good clown slasher movie not so long ago, that it's it's hard to maybe get excited about this. But I mean, hey, who knows?
Yeah. Maybe they watched Terrifier and said to themselves what we says, like, well, he's acting more like a mime than a clown, and they thought, no, we want to do a real clown.
That's true.
Maybe that's why this exists. All right, the last trailer for the week is a movie called The Owners, starring Maisie Williams from your New Mutants.
Coming soon. That's another one. You ready to go to theaters?
Not for that. I might brave it for tonight. I'm not braving it for the goddamn New Mutants. So that's actually, I mean, even this article on Bloody Disgusting kind of sort of compares it to Don't Breathe, in the sense that it starts with a group of young people breaking into this house. In this case, it's an elderly couple. And then it kind of flips as it goes, as the elderly couple seem to actually be very dangerous after they injure one of the kids. And then these young people are sort of trapped in the house with them, and they're dangerous and potentially deadly. So this is coming out on September 4th. So again, pretty soon. These VOD movies sneak up far too quick. It's starting to be distressing how all of a sudden there's this slate of films coming out when I thought we had tons of time to do Oktoberthon and theme month stuff.
Yeah, but because they want to hook you with the trailer and then be like, and guess what, you can watch it in 2 days, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just that E3 thing of and it's available right now. What did you think of the trailer though?
I wasn't into it. I think my first thought was oh, we've seen this before. I mean, you mentioned Don't Breathe, but then there's also so much there's also like, you know, what was I forget the name, but we did that other one where like they break in and you know, like the people start messing with them. Was it there's like a sick girl in the bed and stuff, and then the house ended up having like traps. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
Was that the one with the woman with agoraphobia? Intruders, I would say.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah, that one.
I love how long this show's been going now. This is one that we actually reviewed on the show, and we're both sitting here going, I think that was this one.
There's that, and then there's also that one, Villains, which I don't think we did on the show, but I mean, again, like, you know, same thing. Like, oh yeah, these criminals break into the house. You know, and you think it's this like, you know, nice normal elderly couple, but guess what? You know, it's so you know, so it wasn't. So I mean, my first thought was just kind of like, all right, yeah, I've seen that before. But I mean, it's not like you can't do something new and interesting with that premise. Like it is kind of that is a broad thing that, you know, you can expand upon a lot. So. I'm not necessarily against it, but I mean, there wasn't really much else in the trailer to, you know, really get me too excited. I mean, even as a comic book guy, the fact that they say it's based on an acclaimed graphic novel that I've never heard of, that makes me question things a little bit. I mean, I mean, we're both big comic guys, and obviously, you know, we don't get around to reading everything. But have you ever heard of this in your life?
Nope, never once. It makes you sort of do a sort of semi Forrest Whitaker kind of look. You're like, what? What's that? Acclaimed, you say? Acclaimed?
I mean, maybe if you're like a normal person who doesn't read many comic books, like you might hear that and be like, oh, okay, it must be good then. But I don't know, for a lot of people like us, like if anything, that makes me more judgmental of it. I
feel like it's just a case of they can't just say it's based on a graphic novel. They have to say they have to put an adjective in front to make it sound like it was a good graphic novel. So, but just saying based on the good graphic novel doesn't sound right. So they end up landing on either acclaimed or hit. And I'm like, all it really means is it was a graphic novel. It wasn't successful. It wasn't a big deal. At least as far as we know.
So I mean, all I need to do is get to like one person to say something good about Goatman. So when I do the eventual Goatman movie, I can say based on the beloved comic book. But I mean, no, like it's. I don't think it looks horrible. I just don't think there's necessarily anything about it that, you know, made my hair stand up or something. You know, so I'd be willing to check it out, but I'm not like super excited about it.
Look out for Tim's new comic, An American Werewolf in the White House, coming soon.
Yeah, President Werewolf is almost here. I'll yeah.
Are you mad that I just gave you a better title than what you called it?
that is pretty good, but yeah, unfortunately we've gotten to press, so it's too late now.
Damn it. This is why you consult with me, Tim. You consult.
No, I mean, I will. I do look forward to promoting that here on the show. I'll have more information on that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about this movie.
Just you need to promote it with by saying you'll be liking his policies.
Liking it. That's good. That's good. I like that. I have to use some of that in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah. You can have that one for free. But yes. So that's the I don't know if I even give my opinion on the trailer. It looks kind of just mediocre. It looks fine, but not particularly good. But that's probably felt the most mainstream out of all the trailers. It felt like a bigger, not a big release, but it felt like, hey, there's like an actual star from a TV show in this, and it's so. But there you go. That is this week's horror movie news. Feel free to add on any little things we might have not talked about that you think we should have in the comments. Feel free. Feel free to like as well. Liking is really important on YouTube. It is a nice, easy, and free way to support everything we do and help us find more people. You can also, of course, get us on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month, and you get some bonuses for your trouble. Primarily, you get an extra episode of Screams After Midnight every single month. There's a back catalogue now of about 20 episodes. So go and have a look and see if you're interested in that. And then at the $5 tier, you get to vote on an episode once a month, and you get early access to all the review episodes by a day. So go and have a look, see if you're interested. And then, of course, you also get bonuses for other shows from MailFuzz TV if you happen to like more than just Screams. Maybe you like the Atomic Cinema Experiment I do with Tara that talks about science fiction, where I, slyly make fun of Tim when he's not there because I can get away with it. I have never done it. Well, I'm not going to say never, but it's not a regular feature.
Okay.
It's not like we get to half time during every episode. I'm like, okay, now it's for 5 minutes of Tim bashing, and then we'll get back to our regularly scheduled review.
I have to randomly listen to some episodes and make sure this isn't happening.
But yeah, so there you go. That is so it also gets on Twitter at Screams Midnight. For apparently it was our 2-year anniversary on Twitter this week.
Yeah, that annoyed me because like you see those things come up and then it says like celebrate with a special tweet made just for you. So like I don't know. I thought they were gonna give you like one of those dumb videos where they like show your most commented tweets or something. But then like I clicked on whatever thing like okay, and then like it didn't do anything. I was like, it's dumb.
Yeah, I thought, but here's your most liked tweet from the last 2 years. Here's your most retweeted tweet from the
something like that. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, but hey ho, that has been us though. Thank you very much for joining us. Keep watching scary movies, and we will see you next time.